Wow, already a lot of comments from Franklin. Hi Franklin, I hope you're still here. Hi Armand. Hello, hello. So we will be starting officially in 4 minutes. Can people let me know if the sound is working properly? Can you hear me? Does the music come through? Hi Franklin, are you hearing the sound? Let's test the few screens a bit. Seems to be working. Let's turn this off. We don't need it anymore. Hello, hello. Hi, Sodik. I hope Sodik. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. Hi, Cyber. How are you? Happy to have you here. So today, what we are going to be doing, basically, we're going to be going through this article on CSS Trick, and we are going to try to understand a lot of these properties. But before we go into this one and all throughout the live, I would like to answer some questions. If you have any questions, I'm a self-taught developer. I've been working as a developer for a year now for a startup. So if you're learning web development and you have any questions about it, I'd love to give you my perspective on the experience. So yeah, if you have any questions, I will monitor the chat. Otherwise, I will basically start going through this article on CSS Trick, and we will implement whatever we have, whatever we see here, and we're going to try to understand everything. And probably later on, I will be going to playing a little bit of these flex games, um, and you guys can basically tell me in the chat if you can help me with some stuff if something is not working. But yeah, at the moment we have 4 viewers, so hopefully we will get more people joining and we will start the conversation. Yes, if you have any questions for me, don't uh, don't be afraid to send them. I will open this. Let me share this my screen, and we will be going with the window half and half with Visual Studio Code and CSS tricks here. So we're starting with Flex from the beginning. What I have here is basically a HTML file. I'm just going to use this. I'm in Visual Studio here, and Visual Studio uses emmet, so you can basically use an exclamation point, and then you can just go like this, and it gives you the structure for an HTML document, right? So now I will use this extension that I have, Live Server, and I can just go open with Live Server, and this should open here. Of course, this is an empty page now. We're going through hello paper crafts. Armand, we're basically learning Flexbox, which is display in CSS that helps you easily arrange stuff on a web page. You can arrange all kind of squares, images, and it lets you easily arrange them. So we're going to basically try to understand it from scratch. Um, Now I have been working with Flexbox for a while. Let me see what the camera is showing. It's showing the proper stuff. Yeah. Um, I have been working with it for a while, but sometimes I still have to go back to it, and I would like to understand it. I master it once and for all, and hopefully there are some people here who would like that as well. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to create a div with the class container, and you can use Emmet for that in Visual Studio Code. Emmet comes with Visual Studio Code comes with Emmet incorporated. So basically, if I want to create a div with the class container, I can just use a dot, which is for class, and then write the name of the class, which is container. And once I hit tab, it will give me a div with the class container. And what I'm going to do, actually, I'm going to create a style file as well, because we're going to put the style separately in a CSS file. I'm trying to monitor the chat as well to make sure that I answer any questions that come up. I'm going to do a style file, and to basically connect the style file with the index.html, I'm just going to go here in the head of the document, and under title I'm going to basically use link, which is basically a shortcut again from Emmet that can give me this, where I can basically connect the style file. And now the style file is connected with the HTML file. So in Visual Studio Code, you don't need to install any extension, because Emmet comes incorporate Emmet. It's called Emmet. I'm going to write here in the chat. But it comes incorporated with Visual Studio Code, and there are a lot of shortcuts like that that are included even for CSS and stuff like that. And at some point, I think I will make a live as well, where I will explain how you can make in Visual Studio Code your own snippets, where you just type something small and it gives you a whole block of code. That's basically something that you use a lot of times. So now I have this style file connected, and I want to make all the background black, because then I want to make the div white, and then we can play around in the div. So I want to make the whole background of the page black. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to select the body, CSS, and I'm going to say background black. You can also use something like that. You just go like this, and this is the color cost for black, right? And now we have the page black. So then I'm going to basically to select from here the div with the class container. I'm just going to use this class selector, and I'm going to say container, because this is the div that we're trying to select. And we're going to say for this one background white. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it a weight of 100%, and I'm going to give it a height of maybe let's say 400 pixels. So as you can see now, we have given here is they let me make it smaller. I'm going to give it the height of 200 pixels. So you can see this goes the width 100% and the height of 200 pixels. And why do we still have this black margin? Is because CSS has some rules that are predefined. So if you want to get rid of these margins or paddings, you just need to go in the body, I think, and you just say padding 0 and margin 0. And guys, if you would enjoy to see more of these lives, I will be doing more of them. I will be doing about JavaScript as well. I will be going at some point to websites like Free Code Camp, and we can go through some courses like algorithm and data structures. If you're into learning JavaScript, we can solve some code challenges on website like LeetCode. So if you are interested in studying with me on more of this stuff, then it would be nice if you subscribe, and then if you click the bell icon, YouTube will let you know when I'm live again. And also, if you enjoy this kind of content, if you give a like, then YouTube will also show this live to more people, and more people will join, so we can have more of a community. And like I said, if you have any questions about how it is to start working as a self-taught developer, any questions about that, to let me know. Anyway, getting back to this, I'm going to, so now we have this, so let's go to here and as you can see, this is how display flex, which is Flexbox, starts. You just use a display flex on the container which you want to have the display flex, and use Flexbox on there. So we're going to go on the container, and we're going to say here display flex. But at the moment, you can't see any difference here, because it has. I'm going to remove this from here, because we do kind of want to see like that. So at the moment you don't see any difference in this, because you give it display flex, you can't see any difference. But let's say that we put inside here a few elements. I'm going to say element, so I'm going to make another div inside it, which is called element. And if I select it and I press Shift Option on Mac or Shift Alt on Windows, I think, and you go down, then you can like copy like this, right? Actually, I don't even know if you have to select it. I think you can just go on the line and go like this, and you will copy the line. So I will copy it 3 times, and actually let's just copy it 2 times for now. And I will say element 1 and element 2. Okay, then I will select them in here. Actually, let's just say element, and then say element 1. I will give them 2 classes, right? That's how you can give them more classes if you need to do different things. If you want to do the same thing for more divs, you can give it the same class. But then if you want to do just for one div something, and you don't want to do for the other one, then you can select with the other class that you gave it only to that one div. So if I select all the elements, which are the 2, and I give them a width of 100 pixel, height 100 pixel, and then I will give them a background, let's say 3. We have 100, and as you can see at the moment we don't have the display flex. So what's happening, you have the first element here, and then immediately after, because divs are basically block elements, so it will kind of occupy the whole line. But if you give it a width, it will not occupy the whole line, but it will make the other element go on the second line. So now if I use display flex on this, what's going to do it is it's going to put them in line now. And you can see, I mean, all you can see now is a rectangle, but what's happening, there is an element here and an element here. And if I actually give a margin right to each element, you can see that there are 2 elements. margin right 2 pixel, right? You can see that there are 2 elements. Hello Muhammad, hello Murphy, glad to see you here. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'm glad to have more people watching and hopefully interacting. So, oh, we have 9 people. I can't believe it. For the first live, I'm having 9 people watching. I'm so glad about that, and hopefully this will continue, and we will make a community, grow a community where we can learn together. So at the moment I'm just going to go back. Let me open Google Chrome, right, so I can see what's going on here. Okay, so at the moment I will remove the margin right from here. We do know what's happening here. So now let's try to understand. Here they explain about flex direction, and you have flex direction, which is the row, but like the regular row is just going from left to right. You can see here row, and you have row reverse, which is basically going from this side to this side. So if you have the elements like this one and this one, instead of having this one to the left and this one to the right of it, it's starting from the other side, right? So let's check these 2 out. I'm going to go here, and as you can see at the moment, let me just still keep the margin right of 2 pixels here. So now at the moment the basic one, the first one that you get on flex direction, flex direction, it starts with flex direction row. So if I put flex direction row, there is no change here. But if I put row reverse, it basically means it's reversing the row. So it will start from the end, from here to here. So the first element, which is element 1, will be here, and then the element 2 will be here. And to make that clear, what I will going to say, I'm going to say element 2, and I will change the background color of that element to blue, so we can see the difference. So at the moment you can see you have green here and blue here. Now if I give here flex direction or row reverse, what's going to happen is basically going here. So as you can see, this is still element 2. Basically these are going to the right because it's row reverse, but you have them also in reverse order, right? Now we have 2 more things here, and we have the flex direction column and column reverse. And what like I said, I do know some of this stuff already. Adding flex all the elements will come in lower. Yeah, so when you just add the display flex, the elements are coming in the row. That's how it's starting, right? But then you can give it row reverse, because here with flex direction row is just starting from here, and then flex direction row reverse starting from here down. Then we can change flex direction to column, and what's going to happen is going to make this in a column. So we will have the green one here, and then the blue one down, because basically that is like, you can hear what it's saying. It's a flex direction column, which is basically like a column, right? So you just say flex direction column, and you can see that now they are in a column down, right? And like you have seen with flex direction row reverse, if you use column reverse, is basically going to start from the bottom. So if I actually make this bigger, if I make the height 400 pixels so that it doesn't go until the bottom, now you can see here. And now if I say column reverse, they will go to the bottom with the green starting from the bottom, right? So we're going there, and we have column reverse. So now this is all the things that they explained here. If you do have something that you don't understand, why space between body, background color, and flex elements, why is there white space between body, PG color, and flex element? Well, because, so going here, you can see that the height of this container is 400 pixel. Now this element is 100 pixel in width and height, and this element same. So there will be some space. Now if you give something, I think something like I think here is justify content. I don't think so it's gonna work here, because these elements have a width, so they have a certain width, so you can actually change, right? So that's why there is the space, because this one is higher than their component. But you can change this. You can change how you want to align this. If you want to put, for example, you want to put this here and this here, you can go something like this, and we will basically go through them when we go down in the article. We will explain all this, but here we're just explaining this. But at the moment, you can see that if I actually put on here justify content space between, you can see now with space between, it puts this one at the beginning, because and here is justify content space between, because it's flex direction column, right? If it would be a flex direction row, then you would use for something like this. That's this way you would use align items. But again, if this is like row, for example, right, you can see that using justify content space between, put space between them, and you have these other ones, which is space around, which what it does, it puts some space here, but some space here and some space here, and then I think you have space evenly. Now you have to be careful, because I don't know if like space evenly, it puts the same space here, the same space here, and the same space here, right? And then you have center, which basically puts them all in the center, and that's about it. You have flex start, flex end. If you have flex direction row and you want to keep them in the same order with green here and blue here, and you want to put them at the end of the div, then you just use justify content flex end, and that puts them at the end. You can also put them at the end, but with the green starting from this side, by using flex start, which you don't really need it when flex start, and row reverse. And I have to explain something here, because when you have flex direction row like this, flex start is going to mean this side, because flex start means where the direction, basically flex start is going to put them at the beginning of the direction, which the direction is this way, so you put them at the beginning of the direction. But if the direction is row reverse, which means the reverse of the row from here to here, if you have row reverse, which is from here to here, flex start, which is this one, is going to mean the start, because this is the start of the flex direction row reverse. So if you want to put them here, then you put flex end, right? Because now this is the end of this direction from here to here, right? But we're going to get ahead of ourselves now, so let me just say, so we have you understood row reverse, column and column reverse? Have you? If you didn't understand how it works, I can explain again. Yes, that's right, Sodiq. Hello Franklin, welcome back. Okay, so let's go a little bit more. How are you guys this evening? How was your days? Did you do anything interesting today that you want to talk about? Okay, so let's go back here. I'm going to keep an eye on the questions. So let me go back to the code. Okay, so we have explained the flex direction row, and like I said, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. We still have 6 people watching, not bad. The rest got bored. Yeah, guys, if you know anyone that is interested about this kind of content, you can share with them. And also, if you want to see more content like this, do subscribe, because I'm going to make more in the future. So going back to here, as you can see, they explain here, row is left to right, row reverse is right to left, and all the explanation that we went through. So now let's look at this flex wrap. Flex wrap is basically if the elements are gonna wrap or not, if there are more elements than the container can contain, right? So let's look at that. Let's put more elements here so that they overlap, right? So I'm going to basically copy this 2 times. Okay, so let me go here. Okay, maybe more. Okay, so what's happening here is because when it's starting, instead of wrapping, they basically become smaller. But if you give the elements something like flex shrink 0, they shouldn't shrink anymore. And what's happening now, because they don't shrink, you can see they're going outside of the container. Now to stop that, if we want, once it has reached the end, to do what we have seen here, basically a wrap around like that, we want to use flex wrap on the container, because this is where we put these properties like flex direction, flex wrap. So if you use flex wrap, now when it's starting it's no wrap, so that will be no wrap, which is this. Basically it's just going outside of the container, right? Now if you use wrap, what's going to happen? They're going to wrap on another line. And why is it like that? Is because that's how it's starting. But we can say something like this. If we say now align items flex start. Okay, so there is a problem here. I'm trying to understand what the problem is, because from my understanding with flex start they should go here. Okay, let's just go to, for now let's just leave it like that, because something is happening, but we can understand more. By default, we'll try to fit onto one line. You can change that and allow the items to wrap as needed with this property flex wrap, no wrap, wrap reverse. So we have wrap reverse as well. Flex direction row is well, hopefully one of the next lives, I'm going to be doing at least 2 lives a week, so we will be doing some free code camp. We're probably going to go through the free code camp algorithms and data structures, which is having a lot of GS, and I can explain a lot of JavaScript, methods and anything JavaScript in there. But I can also learn more, and we can learn together. So if you'd like to see that and basically ask me any questions, then be sure to subscribe, and you will be notified. Also click the bell icon, so YouTube will let you know when I'm doing new lives. But I will be doing 2 to 3 lives a week, so hopefully you will catch some of them. Flex direction row is default. Yes, it is default. So let's go back to, Okay, so let's try a wrap reverse and see what it does. Put on here flex wrap reverse. So I think what a wrap reverse does is, instead of going like that from here and then continuing here, is going to continue from here. You're not gonna see any difference now because you can't really see it here, right? I wonder if I can make this bigger. Right, so as you can see now, because it can't fit more of this here, it's going on the second line. But if I put here wrap reverse, no, wrap reverse is doing something weird. It's basically doing from here to here. It's the weird one. So let's try to understand it. What does wrap reverse do? Flex items will wrap onto multiple knives from bottom to top. Okay, so it's basically going to start doing it from here and then go to here. And this is really weird now. I don't get it, because why is it putting two on the same one? Do you guys understand what's happening here? Direction reverse. Maybe I have something else. Okay, so yeah, so I think what's going on is just starting from here and going to here. Oh yeah, those were different colors because I have this kind of combined here, so it's basically confusing me. Let me get rid of some of them like this, and then element 1 2 1 2 1 2, and starting to basically, now they were just combining here, so I just copy 2 at a time. That should be fine. So going back here, let's put this back. And yeah, with row reverse, I think it's just starting from here instead of from here, and then it's basically wrapping here. Now in my job, to be honest, I didn't use flex wrap too much. It does have its uses, but you do have to experiment sometimes to get the result you want. There are some visual demos of flex wrap here. Let's check this out. Is a subproperty of Flexbox layout now. It defines whatever. Okay. So the red list is set to no wrap. So because it's no wrap, like you saw in our example, is basically making these smaller because they don't have the flex shrink to 0, which means they won't shrink. Now this is set to wrap, so it's going on the second line. This is set to wrap reverse. So wrap reverse, basically what's going to do, instead of starting from here and wrapping here like this, it's going to start here, boom, and then it's going to go on this line. So this one basically kind of go like this, while this one goes like this and like this. Kind of weird, but good to know, right? So I keep having to remember where to look if people are still watching. People are still watching, so I'm glad about that, because it means some of you are interested in this stuff. Okay, so did you guys understand this flex wrap thing? Wrap reverse? Any problems understanding that? If yes, do let me know. If not, we will be going to the next one. And if you guys in the chat would uh, do have any suggestions for what you want to see in the next lives. I'm happy for suggestions, and we can cover anything, like I said, coding challenges, JavaScript, maybe go through some course. We What I want to do is though we will try to go through stuff that is text, because I don't think we can really go through a video course and try to understand stuff from there. But if you're going from a course with JavaScript and you have something that you don't understand, you can ask me on the live, and I will try to debug with you or explain if I already know what's going on. So this was basically FlexWrap. We saw the examples as well. FlexFlow. Now this is something that I haven't used much. It's basically a shorthand for flex direction and flex wrap properties, which together define the flex container main and cross axis. So basically with FlexFlow you can basically define the flex direction and the flex wrap at the same time. So instead of writing something like this, which would be maybe flex direction column and flex direction column. So instead of writing something like this, flex direction column and flex wrap, maybe just wrap, let's say, you would just say, instead of saying both of these, this is like a shortcut, flex flow, shorthand, right? And you would just use the column and wrap, or whatever you would use here. So as you can see, it's the same thing. I'm going to close this for now because I don't need it, so I have more space for this as well. So as you can see, this thing, flex flow, is the same as these two. It's basically the same thing. If I delete this and put flex flow with column and wrap, that's the same thing. If I put wrap reverse, as you can see, it's starting from here instead and going like that, right? Hey, Julian is here. Hello, Julian. Your music is a bit low and your voice is low. Thank you for that, Muhammad. I will try to speak a bit louder, and let me put them. I didn't know the music was so loud, but I will maybe go like that. Hopefully that is better. How are you, Julian? Okay, so let's go back to here, and oh, this was something else. Okay, so have you guys understand flex flow? It's not much to understand. It's basically just a shorthand for flex direction and flex wrap together. You basically put the flex direction here and the wrap here if you want to basically define both in the same property. So now we're going into justify content, which is basically to align the elements. It says this defines the alignment along the main axis, and the main axis means if it's the axis row reverse, column, or column reverse. So it defines the alignment along that axis. So it helps distribute the extra free space left over when either or all the flex items on line are inflexible, or are flexible but have reached their maximum size. It also exerts some control over the alignment of items when they overflow the line. So for this one, what I'm going to do, I am going to remove this extra. I'm just going to comment them. I'm just going to leave maybe 4 of them. Right? So I was talking, let me change this back to a row. And I will leave the wrap for now. So let's go here and we are going to go to all of this. Now, like I said, flex start is basically put them at the start of the main axis, because the main axis at the moment is row. As you can see, it's row. So the start of the main axis. Now, the flex direction does start with flex start, so we don't have to define it if that's where we want the elements. So if I put flex start, it's the same thing as here, right? Now we have some other stuff that they say here. Why am I keep going to this? I'm just going to close the music. Let me know if you guys do want music on here or not. At the moment I can hear any music anyway. So let's go through all of this. As you can see, flex start is at the start of the main axis, which are the main axis is now from start to end on this axis, right? Now flex end, it is going to put them at the end. As you can see, flex end. What's going on here? Flex direction, flex end. Maybe this is not working if we just have one. Oh, I'm basically using flex direction instead of using justify content. Sorry guys, that was my bad. I'm using flex direction instead of justify content with it, which is what we are learning now. So now, if we, like I said, if we start with flex start, it's the same thing because that's what it starts with. If we use flex end, it's going to put them at the end of the main axis. So you can see it puts them at the end. Now going back to flex start, which is what is starting with, if this is column, you can see it's put them at the start of the column. You can see it because this fits the whole thing, but if I put here 500 pixels, you can see it. It's at the start on the main axis, which at the moment is the column, right? Now this is, if this is column reverse, it's going to put him at the bottom because that's the start of the column reverse. Column reverse, it means from here to here, so that's the start of the column reverse. Now we're going to go here back to row, and we're not going to try to change all of them to column to understand. We're just going to understand of the main axis row, because I did explain how all of them are different. You have to understand which is the axis, if it's row reverse, column, or column reverse, and then that's how you understand where this will go. With flex start at the moment it's here, flex end is going to go at the end. How flex grow and shrink works, we will be going through that in a moment, Muhammad. Hopefully it's not too far in. We will be going to justify content now. El Boko. Why are you coughing, Julian? um, okay, so going back to this, let's go fast through the other ones. We have center, which I did explain before. If you put center, it's going to put all these elements to the center, right? Now this space between them would not be there. It's only be there because I put a margin right on each element, right? So normally when you put justify content center, they will just be stuck against each other at the center. Then we have space between, which space between basically puts the first element from all the elements at the beginning, the last one at the end, and then it puts space between, the same space between each two elements, right? So if I put justify content space between, you can see it puts the same space between all of them. And I will be going a little bit to column, so you can see that on the column is the same thing. It puts the same space between them on the axis on which it is. So justify content basically works on the axis that is at play, right? So going back to this, then we have space around, which space around basically puts the same element, puts the same space between all elements, while at the end you just have, at the end you would just have the space. You see the space that's between elements. At the end you just have kind of half of that space here and half of that space here, because this would kind of combine together and create this space. Now if you do use space evenly, then it's the same space here that is between elements and the same space here that is between the elements, right? And that's about it for this. Now let me see if there's any question. No, still the same question there. We will be answering this at some point. So guys, yes, if you didn't like the live already, please do give a like so that we can get more people here and rolling with the questions. So we do have a few more things here, like left and right, but I think these are going a little bit too in depth, which you're not going to use this too much. And even though this is called master Flexbox, we don't want to get that advanced at the moment. So now let's go to align items, which basically align items, what is saying, this defines the default behavior for how flex items are laid out along the cross axis on the current line. Think of it as justify content version for the cross axis, perpendicular to the main axis. So let me show you this. Now align items starts with flex start, which is basically at the start of the element, right? So align items is basically working on the reverse axis. So if this is the axis, if this is the axis that you're going to, then align items works on this axis, right? So align items will start with flex start, which basically keeps them the same. But if we're saying flex end, what do you think is going to happen? These are going to go at the bottom. As you can see, they are at the bottom now. Now, what happens if we're saying center? If we put them at the center, right? And let's go here and see what else we have. If we put stretch, let's say stretch, they stretch to fill the container, still respecting mean width, max width. So if the elements have a mean width and max width, they will respect that, and it probably will not change the element to stretch. But we don't have a mean width and a max width on here, or mean height, max height. So if we're putting stretch on them, align items, stretch, it does not seem to, nothing seems to happen. It's probably because we have a height on them. If we don't have a height, they will stretch, right? So we did have a height, so then they will not stretch. But if you don't have any height on the element, you just have some content in it, and then you have align item stretch, these elements will basically stretch the whole height of the container. Okay, so let me take this back to flex start. Now I do think I need the height on them to see them if they are not on flex stretch, so I will put a height of 100 pixel back. Okay. Self starts, flex and self end. Okay, center baseline. So we have one that says baseline items are aligned such as their baselines align. I don't get that too much. But let me give these elements some different classes. We will say element 2, element 3, and element 4, so we can, and then we will say element 1, actually we will leave element 1 as it is, but element 2 we want to give it a height of 200 pixel. Then element 3 we will give it 300 pixel, and then element 4 400 pixel. Now I want this one to actually be still green, so we can see some difference. Okay. So let's see what happens if we put here align items baseline. So that's what it does. It basically makes their baselines, which is basically the bottom, their bottoms align, right? And the one that has the most height will basically touch the top of the container. So you just have their baselines align, right? Let me see. No questions at the moment. Do let me know, guys, if you have any questions. So yeah, I think these are the most important to know. This is the ones I have used. So it's basically, this seems like an interesting one, so it's good to know. But usually you have center, which at the center you can see now this align against the center. You can see how they all basically center, right? And then you have flex start, which is the one starting with. So then all of their tops are at the top. Flex end puts them at the bottom. And then you have stretch, which this will work only if you have just some content in them, but you don't have a defined height, which at the moment we have on all of them. But if we do remove them, the height, they will stretch the whole height of the container, right? Okay, so then we have align content. Oh, this is getting heavy. Okay, so let's go back. Let's remove this all these heights here, because for now we just want to work with something like this. Okay, and let me put, I want to have something. What I'm going to do here, I'm going to make I'm going to basically select all the elements, and I'm going to give each even child the color blue. So instead of saying element 2 background blue and element 4 background blue, I'm just going to say element, the class element, right, which all of them has the class element, and then I can use here NChild. And here with NChild you can select the child, something like NChild 3. I think here I might need something like this. Oh wait, has to be something like this. Why is this? Oh, because am I not doing this right, guys? Element and channel. This should work. So if I do a background blue on this, this doesn't work. So what am I doing wrong? And child 3 background blue. Is it because NChild 3 background blue. So let me do this instead. Let's see if I can do container div. Okay, so I can do it like this. I don't know why I can't do it like that. Wait, let me go back. Maybe it was like this. Yeah, it was like this. So basically they have to be together. So you can see here, if you have more elements and that have the same class, or they have the same tag or something, uh, you can select you can select all of them like that, and then you use NChild, which means basically the end element of that list that you're selecting, you want for that one to have the background blue. Now what I want to do is I want the second one and the fourth one to be background blue. And let's assume that we have some more here actually. Let's put all of them like this. Okay. I will put a flex wrap on them at the moment. So flex wrap. Okay, so we're wrapping now. So at the moment, you can see I have NChild, the NChild 3, I gave it the background blue. But what I want to do, I didn't want to do this, I want to explain how this NChild works. What I want to do is I want all the even ones, all the ones at the even positions to have the background blue. So basically I want to alternate green, blue, green, blue. So I want one all the ones at even position to have a background of blue. So what you can do here, you can pass odd or even. So if I pass here even, you can see all the ones at even position get the background of blue. If I want to have the ones at odd position, then I put like this and all of them get blue background. Okay, I will change this to even, and I will change this back because I don't actually want this. I just wanted to show you how that works. Okay, so are you guys still there? Whoa, 5 people watching. 4. Oh, okay. So let's go to here, and now we will understand this. We actually do need more of them because we're going to see this align contents. Now, if you use align content, that's what I was looking for before. If you use align content, if you want all of them to be at the start, so after this line, you want this line to actually wrap immediately after it, then you use align content, which is basically aligning how those elements are going to be displayed when they're wrapping. So if I put align content, flex start, I think. Is that not working? Yeah. So as you can see, it does put them here, but for some reason it was like that before as well. For some reason there is some space here. I think it leaves some, for some reason it leaves space. I don't know why these are centered. Oh, it's probably because you have some aligning on this axis as well. But let's put it back. So as you can see, flex start makes them align at the start. Then you have flex end, which basically puts them at the end. So let's go try flex end. And you can see it starts from here and here, so it basically just moves them at the bottom. Then we have center, which will put them at the center. And I think it's about the same things that you had before. We had before, we have space between, space around, and stretch, which is basically gonna stretch them if they don't have a height. So let's show space between as well. So space between, what's going to do is going to put the first line here at the top, and end line at the bottom. So align content space between. So as you can see, space between them, one at the top, one at the bottom, and then you have space around, I think it said. Where you have this space, you could have more lines here, and you will put the same space between all the lines, and then you have half of this space here and half of this space here. Then you would have also stretch, which if these things would not have a height, then it will make them stretch like that, right? Okay, so I think we have gone through quite a few of them. Um, do you guys want to? Okay, so let me explain what. Muhammad, are you still here? Do let me know if you're still here. I'm going to explain how flex grow and flex shrink, what do they do. Um, so I'm going to remove some of these elements. I'm just going to keep two. And if I put flex grow 1, right? Uh, so if I put on the element, this flex grow and flex shrinks go on the particular elements. So let's try flex grow on both elements, right? And we will put 1. So what does this do? Because you have flex grow on both elements, it gives the same space of 1 to this one and this one. If I go and say, instead of this flex grow here, I put on element 1, this has to be a class. If I put on this flex grow 1 and on this element 2, now because I put on this flex grow 1 and I didn't put any flex shrink 0 on the second element, then this will basically get the whole space. So for it not to get the whole space but only the available space, then I have to say here on the second element flex shrinks 0. And because what's going on here, flex grow 1 flex shrink 0, this shouldn't really happen in my opinion, but flex down mean width, let me say, if I say mean width, the CSS always surprises you. Let me say flex grow 1, flex grow 0 maybe, and flex shrink 0. I think here should be flex 1, and if I put flex 1 on this as well, then here what's going on, don't I have an element 2 here? Why is it, do you guys know what I'm doing wrong here? Element 1, element 2, so let me check this. It's 100 pixels. So flex 1, flex 1. This should be, this should both, oh, I didn't give them different colors that way. So let me put, this is so confusing. I need to give this a different color so I can see what's going on. So I think I was doing the correct thing. So if I give this flex 1, basically what's going on, flex 1 is basically the same as you say here, flex grow 1 and flex shrink 1, I think. So because I gave the first element flex 1, basically what's going on is the second element, I didn't give it any, so it keeps its width and height, right? But here I gave it flex grow, which basically leaves it grow for the whole available space in the container except the elements that you have, the other elements that you have. So if I put one more here, like this, it will basically only grow as much as it has space, because now you have two elements here, right? So if I give this flex grow 1, but if I give the element 2 flex grow 2, what's going to oh, again I remove the background. Blue. So what's happening here, you have flex grow 1 here and flex grow 2 here. If you add these 2, it means you have 3. So you basically split this space that you have available in 3, and this one gets one of those 3%, or those 3 portions, one of them, and this second element gets 2 of them, right? So basically flex grow, what tells it, it tells you how much it can grow and take from the available space on top of the width or height it already has. Now if you use flex shrink 0, it means that if you have more elements and you don't have space, then it cannot shrink. If you give flex shrink 1, then it means it can shrink, and you can have flex shrink 3 as well and stuff like that. It gets more complicated after that. I don't know if Muhammad is still here, but if you are here, I hope you kind of understood how that works. If not, you can ask some more questions about it. So I don't know if we have some new people here. If we do, hello to everybody. If you didn't give a like already, please do give a like to the live so that YouTube will show the live to more people. And again, if you are interested in stuff like that, I will repeat, I will be doing more of these lives where we will go through JavaScript as well, coding challenges, free code camp courses, and stuff like that. So be sure to also tell any friends if you're on any groups, if people are interested in coding groups like this where they can ask questions about stuff like this, then do make sure to let more people know, and then we will make a big group where we can study together and kind of try to figure out all this stuff. So at the moment, I don't know if you guys want to suggest something more. If you want to go more through this content with Flex, we can go more to this article and explain more. Otherwise, we can maybe play this game for a bit and see how that goes. Would you guys like to kind of try to understand Flexbox a bit through this game? I don't know if you guys ever played it, or I don't know if anybody's actually watching. So do give a sign if you are still watching, so I know that I'm not talking to myself. But I will keep talking because this live will go anyway up on the YouTube channel, and I do hope some people are watching. So at the moment, if nobody is commenting, I think I will be going through this. I will be changing this to just Chrome, so I can show just Chrome and going full screen, and I will be going through this game and practice Flexbox a little bit, unless you guys have some suggestions, and then we can do those. So do let me know also if you have any questions. Okay. Oh, I'm going to get some coffee. Okay, so let's start this. So basically this has display flex, which flex direction, which starts with the flex direction row, like we talked before. So this is the flex direction row, and we have to move this frog inside here. So like we explained before in the live, we don't have to change the flex direction, is already raw. So we just have to change justify content, which basically justify content kind of align the elements of the main axis. So we use just justify content. Now this they do explain a little bit here what you can use, but I will try not to read them and see if I can go through the whole game and solve all of it. And I will still keep an eye on the chat and see if you are asking any questions. So justify content, it was flex n because we want this little frog to go at the end. We will go next. As you can see, it has went in there. Now we have two frogs and we need them to go inside these two ponds. So you remember again, on the main axis we want justify content center, right? So justify content center, and we have them going happily in their houses. So let's go next. Then as you can see, we have the same space between the ponds, and we have like half of that space we have on the right, on the left and on the right. So that means we have a space around, because if it was spaced evenly, then we would have the same space that we have here, but we only have half the space. So we need to use justify content space around. I don't know if anybody is still watching, because nobody is commenting, but I will keep going because I do have 1 more hour of this. Okay, so again, now as you can see, we have, I think this is no space here and no space here because there isn't a lot of space. So we have 3 of them, and we have the same space between the ponds here. So it will be justify content of space between. I'm so used to coding and saving things that I'm saving even when I'm playing with Command S, and that's why it keeps asking me, oh, you want to save the page, okay? So we put the frogs in the ponds. Okay, so now we're going to something else. We're using align items here because now we still have flex direction row, but then we have to align the items on the reverse of the main axis, which is on this axis, right? So we want to use align items, and we're using flex n because flex start is the axis is like this. So flex n would bring the frogs here, right? So flex end. Okay, so we move them here. Now we have a combination. We basically have to move this in the center, and this is something that you will use a lot when you're trying to center things. You're going to use display flex on the container, and then you are also going to put a justify content center, which will move it in the center on this axis, and then align item center, and it will go like this. Then all the elements will go in the center of the container. Now you have just one element, so that one will go to the center. So you can see when I say justify content center, it goes on this side, and then we have to use align items, and it go on this side, right? Align items center, and I'm saving again. And you can see how easy it is to center some things in CSS now. So we are so lucky. I am watching and coding along. Very nice. Are you playing the game with me, Ciprian? You are a Romanian, I assume, right? Ciprian sounds like a Romanian name. So I do want to, I don't know if you are, Ciprian, if you are just starting to learn coding, web development, CSS and HTML, you can let me know where you are in your journey. I have some more games that I can recommend for mastering Flexbox, which one of them is this one. Then you have Flexbox Defense, which is another game, and I like this one a lot. It's called Flexbox Zombies, and it's basically kind of a game with zombies, which has kind of a story. So yeah, you can just Google Flexbox Zombies, and you can find the whole game. It's a whole adventure. I didn't go through all of it yet, but it's pretty fun. So let's go next. And not many people watching now, but we are coding along. I'm going to close this for now because it's starting making some sounds. Close. Let's go back here. And now, first of all, let's move them at the bottom because we need them at the bottom. So I'm going to use the align items, which basically moves them on this axis, and we say flex end because we want them at the bottom of the container that has display flex, right? So we say flex end for align items, and then we want to use, and this amusing me, I keep saving the page. We want to basically, we can see the same space between the pawns, and about half of this space is on the side. So that means it's a space around, right? So we use justify content, space around, and we have put them in their places. Okay, level 7, let's go. So now, as you can see, we have these frogs, but they have to go in their respective pawns, which should be the same color. Now, if we use justify content, space justify content, flex end on this, they will not match. They will just go at the end, but they don't match. So instead of doing that, what we have to do is we have to change basically the direction. We want to say flex direction row reverse. And if you are here when we were going through this, that article, if I use row reverse, it will start with the first element from the end of the container. So basically it will go in a row reverse, which is basically what it says. So I'm just going to say flex direction row reverse. You can see it starts from the end and in reverse order, right? So we have put them in their places again. They are so happy. Okay, so now we're going to change the flex direction, right? Because now they are staying in flex direction row, but as you can see, these pawns are in a column direction. So what we want to say is just flex direction column. And if these pawns were in the different order, right, from here to here, then we would have used column reverse, right? So let's go to the next one and see if we get that as well. Now again, we are on flex direction row, so we don't need to change the flex direction, but we need to, what do we need to change? Oh, so what we have to do here is we actually have to use flex direction, and again we say row reverse because we need these things to be reversed. We need them to start from this side with the green from this side, because that's how they start, with the green from this side. So if I use row reverse, you see the green is starting, so they are even in the right order with the colors, but we just need to move them here. And to move them here, because now the direction, so the axis is row reverse, so from here to here, we're just gonna say justify contents flex end, which is basically gonna put them at the end of this axis, which is row reverse. So we say justify content, which justify content, as just aligns on the main axis, and we say flex end, and it will put them here. Okay. How did you find it? Ciprian, where are you in your web development journey? Are you already a developer, or okay? So again, we have to move to flex direction column, because we can see those fonts are in a column direction. Now they are in the correct order. The colors are in the correct order. We just need to move this at the end. So now we basically, because we are on this axis, again we're using justify content, because justify content aligns on the main axis. So we use justify content flex end, right? Oh my god, I can't believe I keep saving this. Okay, so let's go to the next one. Okay, so these are in column order, so we have to put this in column order as well. So we will say flex direction column. Now you can see the colors are in different order. So these ones are with green like this. Now the pawns are starting with green from here. So it means we need to basically change the axis to column reverse. So instead of saying flex direction column, which we did, we need to say flex direction column reverse, so that the first element actually starts from the bottom, right? So we will say instead of column reverse. So now we have them in the correct order, green, yellow, alright? We just need to change the justify content. And again, justify content is on the main axis, from here to here. So we just say justify content. We're going to say space between, because there's no space here, it's just maybe some margin, and there's the space between the elements. So we say justify content space between. Okay. No, I'm not already. I'm trying to learn JavaScript. What resources are you using, Ciprian? By the way, where are you from? You are from Romania, I assume, but what city? Okay. So now we do have the row direction, right? But we need to move them at the bottom. So we say align items. Place direction. Is this gonna work? Anyway, let's see. Text end. We need to put them at the bottom, right? Then we're going to say flex direction should be, they need to be the other way around. It needs to start with the green from here. So we're going to say row reverse, and we have to put them in the center. So justify content center. Now usually you would put this in developer environment. You would usually use them in this order. That's how I use it. I will put the flex direction first, then the justify content, and then the align item. That's how. What is going on here? We keep push them at the end. Come on, X. Why is this not? Anyway, this is, so flex direction row reverse, justify content center, and align items flex center, because we want them here. Okay. Okay, so this is getting bit confusing now because we can see that the yellow should be on here. So I think here here is when, so we have the display flex, but then we have the yellow. I think here we can, oh right, we can use here the order, because here you can use the order on the elements to basically change where it is in the um, where it is in the order. So basically you can change the order of the element. So I think here if I use for yellow, for the class of yellow, right, if I use order, what happens if I put order 1? So if I put on 1, I think all of them have 0. If I put order 1 on yellow, it basically moves it at the end, something like that. It gives it more height. I don't know, something like it says sometimes reversing the row or column order of container is not enough. In these cases, we can apply the order property to individual items. So basically, to kind of change the order with CSS, instead of changing in the HTML, you change it with the flex property of order. By default, items have a value of 0, but we can use this property to also set it to a positive or negative integer value, -2, -1. So I think if I use this -1 on the yellow, it will basically put it at the start. So basically at the moment they're in this order, green, yellow, red. But if I give this one -1, it will basically go at the start, because you give it basically a lower value. So it's kind of rising at the top, right? So it's going here. If you give it 1, it basically becomes heavy and it goes at the bottom, something like that, right? Okay. Udemy courses, Regi? Oh, that's where you're from Regi. Okay. How is JavaScript going? Are you having problems with anything at the moment, or are you just at the start of it? Okay, so I didn't use this order too much, but I think it can be useful if you want to change the order with CSS. I imagine you want to basically change the order of some divs. So basically, you have the divs in some order, but when somebody clicks on something, you want to change their order. So you would use this order property to change where one element is. So let's go to next. So we have used the order property to send the red frog to his lily pad. So we need this one to this one again, like I explained before. I just have to use order, and we basically make it lighter so it rises at the top. We give it -1. Okay, another property, blah blah blah. What else? We need to. Okay, so basically, I think here the way I use align items, and I can move all these items at the bottom. Align items flex end. You can use align self. So if I use align self on yellow, on just this one, I can say align self flex end, and only that one will basically go at the bottom. So I will say align self flex end, and this goes here. Okay, I don't know if you're still here, Ciprian. I was asking how is JavaScript going, if you're still here. Okay, wow, this is getting confusing. So basically we have to use both order and so first of all we have to move both of these frogs. We have to move them at the end so that they can go in these lily pads. So we will say on yellow we use order 1, so we're making them heavier so they fall at the bottom or at the end, so they go here. And then we use align self on both of them, which is the class yellow, and we will say flex end. This game is pretty nice to understand this Flexbox properties, don't you find? I think it's pretty nice. It should you should, or maybe one should play it once every 2 or 3 months to remind himself of some of the properties that he wouldn't usually reach for. Okay. So, oh no, the frogs are all squeezed onto a single row of lily pads. Spread them out using the flex wrap. So this is what we learned before. We just use flex wrap, and they will wrap now. Okay. Okay. So let's go to the next one. So we can see all of them are in column direction. So I will change flex direction column. Now because we don't have the flex wrap put on them so that they wrap, we can see them squished all together. So we're just going to say flex wrap. So this basically unwraps them and puts them all in their ponds. Okay, again flex direction column, because we can see them there in column. Then what's going on? Flex direction column. Why doesn't let me put more? Oh, okay, he wants me to do something. Flex direction and flex wrap are so often together that the flex flow. So basically he wants me to use the flex flow that we talked before on here. So I will do flex flow column, which is saying the direction, and then wrap, which is saying that we want it to wrap. Okay. Okay, so here what we have them in row. So basically here we have the flex wrap, so they go like that, but we just want them to be here at the top. So we have talked before when we were going through that article that we can use here align content and flex start, and that we put them all of them at the top. Okay, so now we want the flex direction is row, but we see that there is a wrap, but all of these are at the end. So we can say align content flex end, and all of them are at the bottom now. Wow, this is getting like a party. So I said this is getting like a party because of all the colors, and then here it says the frogs have had a party. Well, I guess I was a mentalist here. But it's time to go home. Use a combination of flex direction and align content to get them in their lily pads. So first of all, this seems to be flex direction column. I think it's a column direction, right? So let's do flex direction column, and they're like this. But then we want to say well, but I think it's flex direction column reverse because they're the other way around. So let's say flex column reverse, so they're like that, and then we want them on this side to be I think it's we just want to move them here. So I think here is align content because basically they wrap like this, I think something like this, and we just want to all of them to be at the center. So I think this should be align content center, right? Yeah, that's it. One more level and we finish the game. Okay, so we have this, and this. So we want, first of all, I think it's a flex direction of column reverse because it starts from here. I think so. Let's try column reverse. Okay. We want the align content to be end because it starts from here, right? I think align content flex end. Is that not the correct justify content? This is a weird one. So wait, row reverse. Oh wait, maybe here is flex wrap wrap reverse. Yeah, that's it. And then we want these ones to be align self, align self flex end. Yeah, this is what. Oh, but how? Oh no, it's the align content. So the align, I think the align content is space between, because we want to put a space between them. Like all this space should be between them. So we have this here, and then we have the justify content. I think it justifies content center, right? That's it. This was a bit of a hard one, but figure it out. Okay, Cyprian says, I know the basics at the moment. I'm doing a course from Brad Skiff, which I think is a very good course. It covers the basics, MongoDB and Node.js. Yeah, that's a lot. So it basically covers JavaScript as well, right? I think you should look into React as well. I recommend to get a course from Andrei Nagoye on Udemy. I think he explains very well. That only if you want to get into React. But I think React is very popular. I work in React at the moment, and there's a lot of job opportunities in that. Um, so at the moment we only have 3 people watching, which most of them are probably you, Cyprian, and probably my family. Um, Hopefully we will get more people watching in the next lives, and more people are going to become aware of these lives, and we will doing some JavaScript as well. People will send in questions, and we will answer them live. We will do code challenges. We will learn about JavaScript and so on. But at the moment I don't think there's any audience, so I will stop for now. I hope you enjoyed this one. And Cyprian, is there anything you have any idea about what you would like to see in the next live? I don't know if you're still here. I will hang around for 2 more minutes and then end the broadcast. No problem. I hope to see you in the next live. Thanks for hanging out until the end, and good luck with your studying, and hopefully I'll see you next time. Bye bye for now. Thanks for joining everybody that has joined, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye for now.